What's going on, YouTube? Aizawa back again with another My Hero Academia The Strongest Hero video, and today I finally got Aizawa. I'm going to be testing him out, showing you guys exactly how he works, but we also have to talk about a little bit of a global nerf. Does it make him useless? Is he still as strong as he should be? Let's get into it. Alright guys, so the first thing you hear is Aizawa nerf, and you're so mad, right? This character you've been fighting for this whole time, using your coins to get maybe some of your favorite characters. They nerfed it for global. Well guys, I'm going to be 100% honest. It's a good thing. Listen, I know the Aizawa fans are not going to like it, but this guy was literally meta-defining, the best. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Meta Knight from Super Smash Bros., but that's how strong he was compared to everybody else. Now, after this nerf, we're going to talk about it. Is he still that strong? Is he still up there? Yes, he is still the #1 PvP unit by a lot, but he's at least touchable now by the units that are in the game and the units to come. So let's talk about what made Aizawa so strong. So we're going to show off the kit here in a minute, but essentially he has ranged, he has quickness, and his attacks are brutal. His combos are so quick and fast, it's hard for you to counter once you get into a combo of his, and then he hits so fast that he can just start another one up really quick. His move, just like Eraserhead from the show, he increases his attack, and then for 3 seconds, he negates the attacks of all enemies around him. So as soon as he sees you coming in, he can activate Eraser, and then none of your moves do anything, and then he can start his combos. So you think you're engaging on him, but you're just like allowing him to engage on you while you do nothing. So that's really strong. But as we can see, it does have the cooldown, obviously, of a quirk ability, and that was like, you could get through that, and you can start damaging him. Well, in the CN version, he had these caltrops. He still has them here in Global. But these caltrops, he throws on the ground. You guys know what these do with ninjas. You step on them, you get hurt. In the CN version, it would make you flinch. And in this game, that means you're kind of semi-stunned for a second. So what the Aizawas would do is they throw the caltrops down at their feet. If you try to engage on them, they would use this ability first and then beat you up. But if you got past this ability and use like your perfect dodge to get away, they would just stand on these. And if you tried to engage on him, even if you hit him, you would just get stunned or flinched by these, and you wouldn't be able to move, and then he would just engage on you again. They remove the flinch from these in PvP. They make you bleed. There's a whole mechanic with him with bleeding, and they slow you down tremendously, so your movement speed's down, but they no longer make you flinch. And with this change, it makes Aizawa still extremely powerful. But they did make him at least a little bit more bearable, and they turned the meta into just being everybody's fighting with Aizawa and trying to win, and you get mad when you have to fight an Eraserhead, to at least giving you a fighting chance in the game. So a lot of you guys, and I want to hear in the comments, let me know down below, are you okay with this change? I personally am, because it gives life and a little bit more of a fair meta to the game, because Aizawa's still going to be really, really strong. Or would you have rather them just like kept him the way he was, and you're fine if he dominates PvP because you just wanted to have this character be that strong? So it's interesting to hear from that. So now we're going to move into training, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how Aizawa works. This is going to be kind of PvP, but more PvE oriented. So Eraserhead's a little bit more of a complicated character. We're going to get into him here. Just so you guys know, this specific character, and I haven't looked at all the characters in the game, is littered with text like problems, misspelled words. There not being spaces where there should be. Like, I think there should be a space here and a space here, and mistranslations that could confuse you because some of the words aren't even the same. Like, one of these Q fighting styles, combat styles, is listed different places as different names, and it's really going to mess with you. So hopefully I can help you out by talking about it here. So he has 3 different ones. He has Q Sneak, and you can tell which mode he's in, and you guys can always see this by going to skill info. You can see that if it's just a cloth, he's in sneak mode. If it's a cloth with a knife, he's in counter mode. If it's a cloth with the knife inside of the cloth, then it's going to be ambush mode. So the 3 ways you think about it: sneak, you sneak around, you can jump behind them, it really teleports you to the enemy. Counter means if you get hit, you're going to be able to hit them with a counter. And ambush is where you're going to be doing most of your damage and actually filling up your quirk bar down here. So we're going to go into the actual combat here and describe what he has. So he does have Eraser here. And Eraser is that ability I talked about where he uses it and you can't hit him for 3 seconds. It nullifies all enemies' attacks for 3 seconds and busts up his attack for 10 seconds while he uses it. If your skill bar or your quirk bar is full, releasing it will trigger the same effect, so you can't be hit for 3 seconds, but the attack buff is increased to 30 seconds. So when you use it and it's full, that's really going to help you out because you're going to have that attack buff for a little bit longer. But the not being able to take enemy hits does not go to 30 seconds, sadly. That would be absolutely insane. So talking about his Q combat styles again, we have 3 different ones. When he enters the battle, he's automatically going to be in sneak, okay? And when he uses a combat style, it's a fixed order. So it goes from sneak to counter to ambush. So it's always going to go in that order every time you switch. You can't like go in between any other way. But in sneak mode, Aizawa will be invisible for 1 second every 3 seconds, like I talked about. And when you attack, you will immediately teleport behind the enemy. And you can either do your normal auto attack, they call chain attack, or you can do your caltrops or your E ability. So we're going to get in here and show off of this a little bit. As you can see, the bottom bar does not have a knife on it, or his little weapon, his little dagger. So he is in sneak mode, and we can see that it's changing as we move around. His W and his E, as we get closer and move away, you can see that if I'm in, like, pretty much melee range, it changes to 2 different abilities. His W's first ability is the caltrops, like we talked about, so I threw him on the ground there. The reason I teleported behind him and threw him on the ground is because I was in sneak mode. If you watch this and I throw him on the ground, he does it wherever he stands. He will not teleport right behind the person. As for his other W ability, if I'm in melee range, I'll go ahead and just do a 3-hit combo. So that's going to be what his W does when you're in melee range. So again, if you're far away, it puts the caltrops down. If you're close, it goes ahead and does the W. Now, you may be thinking that, I'm going to go ahead and switch to sneak mode again. So now I'm in sneak mode. You would think that when I use sneak mode, that when I hit him with this, it should just go to the melee one. But for some reason, it does not. It throws the caltrops down. So that's going to be a sneak mode thing you can do. And you'll see the E is totally different. So if I'm far away with the E and I hit him, it kind of brings him towards me, does a little bit of a combo. And if you notice something, I have hyper armor combo frames there. So you can see that I turn a golden yellow, and that means I can't be like CC'd or anything like that. So I'm not exactly invincible. I can take damage, but I can't be knocked out of this. I can't be knocked to the ground. So that's really, really strong, okay? When I move forward, if I am in melee range when I use this, it's actually going to hit him in a combo like that, knock him down, and I'm going to get a buff here. 12.5% is going to be increased when I do this. So we're going to go back to the skill info and look at that real quick. So if we go to this E here, when I'm in close combat range, if the third attack hits, the style will be switched to ambush within 10-second cooldown. So essentially, if I'm not in ambush mode and I use this ability and the third attack hits, it immediately puts me into ambush mode, and he's getting this attack buff, as you can see from this passive here. And this is one of the problems that I see with the game already. Under Q raid mode increases 10% plus 2.5% attack. This is not there's no raid mode, okay? This is ambush mode. If you go all the way down here, we haven't even gotten to it yet, but it's ambush mode, okay? But listen, hold out for me for a minute. When you go to ambush mode, it's automatically going to have him having an increased attack because of this passive he gets here. So that's going to be important. And if you were in close melee range and use his E, it's going to automatically switch him to the ambush mode. See, his mode changed. So that's kind of a way you can get right back into it if you want to. If we switch to sneak mode, which we're going to go ahead and do now. So now I'm in sneak mode, which comes after ambush mode. And I use his E, it still does the same ability. It puts me right into ambush mode, excuse me. So we totally missed the counter ability. That's not happening anymore. So it's very important to know that even in sneak mode, for some reason, if you hit the caltrops, it does the caltrops. It doesn't do the close range attack. But if you're in sneak mode and use the E, it automatically does the close range one. Now, again, if we hit the E from far away, we have to actually hit the enemy, but it's the cool combo that gives you the iframe. So just remember that. That's very important. And that's pretty much all there is with sneak. Okay, that's going to be sneak for you. It's going to get you in closer and let you, combo and get right on top of the enemy and kind of run away if you need to and be invisible. Now, if I switch from sneak straight into the counter mode, you can see that I become invisible for a bit longer and I get movement speed. But that only happens if I choose to select myself with Q to switch. He will automatically switch to counter mode if I land any of my abilities. So if I do this, I'm in counter mode immediately. If I auto attack him, like watch, if I'm in sneak mode and I hit my auto attack, it's going to blink behind him, and then it's automatically going to put me into counter mode, as you can see below him. So that's going to be something you guys are going to have to be aware of as moving forward. If I hit Q, I go straight into ambush mode, and it gives me that attack up. So we're going to go into counter mode, and I'm going to show you guys what this mode is all about. If I move in and I have the villain attack me, right? So this guy's going to hit me. And knockback, see how I went backwards? Now I have this counter mode where I can go in, and I'm invincible, I'm invulnerable during that time. So we're gonna go take a look at that and read that, right? So now we're into counter mode. Scroll on down. Counter mode. When attacked, Aizawa will automatically retreat to dodge. You saw him blast backwards. Aizawa can use chain attack to dash forward, which is what I did. During the counter move, which is what I did, Aizawa will be invincible. The cooldown of triggering retreat is 15 seconds. So I can't go in there, keep getting punched, like watch. Hopefully it's off cooldown now. It's not. It's still not even off cooldown while I was talking about that. So I'm going to let him beat me up for a little bit. So let's let him hit me here because I'm still in counter mode. So there it is. So I can go in and do my counter here. Great stuff. But then, like, now it's on a cooldown. I wish there was some indicator that showed that it was on a cooldown, honestly. Somewhere on the screen. but it doesn't trigger. See how he doesn't jump back? So that's something to be aware of as we're looking forward to that and as you're using him. But he'll jump backwards. If he is attacked during this, okay? You know that whole chaining I just did where I'm invulnerable? If some other enemy or some way somebody hits me during that, it automatically will trigger his perfect dodge ability to be activated. So it's kind of cool. So again, this mode is used for when you think you're going to take a hit. I think it's better to be in this mode for a little bit until you trigger this ability. And then once you trigger it, you can go ahead and switch out of it. You can do that and then go ahead and switch into your into this mode right here, the ambush mode, right? They call it raid in some of the factors, but it's not. In this mode, I am applying bleeds. You can see him ticking, right? You can see him ticking damage on him, and I'm not doing anything. And also the Caltrops does that. So if we go look at the Caltrops, we can go down here. The enemy who steps on the Caltrops moves slower and suffers bleed for 10 seconds over time. Each stack of bleed deals 5% attack damage every 2 seconds up to 10 stacks. And the time resets after a new stack is applied. You can stack up to 10 bleeds on this guy, and if we head over here to his punch, when we are in raid mode, which is not raid mode, it's actually ambush mode, he can assault combo to 6 times after hitting an enemy, and then he does X amount of damage, but on the 3rd and 5th hit, the knife will inflict bleed on the opponent, and then it talks about the bleed mechanic again. So this is why this mode is very, very devastating, because it is applying those bleeds to do massive amounts of damage. So the next thing I want to talk about is this quirk bar down below, right? So I wanted to show you guys, this guy's going to punch. See how it didn't do anything to me? It didn't hurt me? For 3 seconds, now I'll take damage. So that's going to be his eraser head move where you don't take any damage. So be aware of that. That's going to be used to your advantage, obviously. But you cannot build this bar below me unless you're in ambush mode. So now we're going to go back into sneak mode. And then when I attack, it automatically puts me in counter mode. You can see that the green on the bar is not being moved up, right? It's not moving at all. That's because I'm not in the mode that is ambush mode. That's what the mode's going to actually put it up. So now I'm going to keep filling it up, and I'm going to get it to full. All right, guys, now I have it full. I've filled up that entire bar. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to read what the ability does. So we're going to go down to Q here, right? And we're going to go down to the ambush mode. Ambush, as we can read it here. It's going to have, when the bar is full, Aizawa can use Eraser, which is his quirk ability, to trigger Befall. And Befall is going to be this cool ability that we see. We go up in the air, we come down, we can root the target, or if we don't hit a target, it still brings people in, it pulls people in. If there's not an enemy in the landing area, Aizawa will throw a large amount of rooting cloth that will pull enemies around towards him. In the same time, he will jump back and throw a compressed cloth ball. So there's 2 different ways. I'll show you how that works. But when switching to the next combat style, so when we manually switch from Q to sneak mode, we're going to get a huge 90% attack buff and 15% crit rate buff for 5 seconds. So it's all about stance swapping and stuff like that. So again, we're in ambush mode. We filled up the bar, and we're going to use his quirk ability, and you're going to see something kind of crazy happen here. We go up in the air. We can kind of aim for him, aim down, hit, and if we do, puts him in like the CC that we can keep smacking him with and doing a lot of great things. So it's pretty awesome, right? So we're going to keep going, and this time I'm going to go ahead and fill the bar up in ambush mode. And see, you see it light up when it's full. I'm going to have to wait for my quirk ability to come off cooldown. And when it does, I'm going to go up in the air. This time I'm going to miss, so we can try to see like what he does when I miss. I'm going to be way over here. So it still pulled him over and kind of like blew him up right there, which is pretty cool, right? It's still at least applied something, even if I end up missing. That's something that happens. And as you're going to see, I'm going to go ahead and hit my my different combat style change. My attack's up by 90 and my crit rate is up by 15. So you can see attacked 100% and it went back down. I had a buff from something else, and my crit was up by 15%. And if you guys want to read those numbers, again, just scroll down here to the bottom. It talks about them only being up for 5 seconds, but you really want to take advantage of that. So it's kind of like, you know, you do all your stuff in here, and you want to get that attack buff, you hit it, and then you immediately get behind the enemy and use your abilities to the best that you can to take part in that big buff to do a lot of damage, right? That's going to be very important to make sure we, you know, that's a big attack buff. It's pretty awesome. I needed to look at something else here. I think it is on his E where he grabs the enemy. Is this it? One of these has a different effect. Yes, okay. So this ability here, his E, so right when I grab him and I pull him forward, obviously the bigger enemies, the bigger bosses that have the hyper armor break bar at the bottom, we're not going to be able to pull them in. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned this here. That's going to have a different effect. It's going to root the enemy, and then it's also going to do damage to them, and it's a 10-second cooldown also. So sadly, you're not going to be able to pull in the bigger enemies, but that's pretty much Aizawa in a nutshell. Again, look how fast he attacks. You have to do the stance changes to make sure you get the most out of him, and then he can just kind of like do whatever he wants, man. Like, this guy is insane. He flows extremely well, and when using him in PvE, remember, a lot of these buffs and things like that don't apply to PvP because it's kind of like out-of-the-box fighting game characters. If used well, he can do a ton of damage. You can really just output just I can't even explain how funny he is to play, but also how hard it is to master. It's going to take you guys a little bit, but I hope this helped you guys out with understanding how Aizawa works in the game, to make sure you understand the stance changes when you end up getting him, because I hope all you guys do. We still have some days left, because I'm on one of the earlier servers. Just make sure you guys go here and check how much time you have left on the event. You can see I have until the 4th. You guys may have longer time, and it is the 29th today, so you have a little bit more time, about 5 days, but that's going to be on reset. So the 4th, it's going to be right at reset. This event's going to end. So be aware of that. And I hope this video helped you out with Aizawa. I'm going to play with him a little bit more before I make any decisions on the talents, right? I'm sure you guys are wondering, you know, hey, what do we do for talents? What is his chipset like? All that kind of stuff. I'm going to save that for a separate video. This video was more of like a, because I need to play with him more before I make decisions on this, guys. There's a ton of, you know what I mean? A ton of it goes into that. We'll play with them for a little bit. This is more of like a primer to get you into Aizawa, understand how he works, and talk about that nerf, because I think it's a pretty big deal to a lot of people. So, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. Again, if you're okay with the nerf, I really want to hear from the community here. You guys have been so great with that stuff. Subscribe for future MHA content, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.